Hi guys, Flourish here. Today's video is going to be about the negative effects an ego can have in our lives, in our relationships, in our emotions, in our behaviors, just on a day-to-day basis. We're going to say some positive affirmations. I forgive those that have hurt me. I forgive those that have hurt me. I am willing to forgive myself. I am willing to forgive myself. I'm putting it next to my heart chakra because that's where we want to clear that up at. I am sacred light. I am sacred light. I accept things as they are. I accept things as they are. I attract spiritual beings of my vibration and frequencies. I attract spiritual beings of my vibrations and frequencies. So let's talk about a few ways that the ego can affect us on a day-to-day in our lives. First, criticizing and judging others. That is a negative side effect of the ego. And the ego is usually like our sun, our sun sign. Sometimes, well, I shouldn't say sun sign, but sun versus moon. Sun is, our personality, our assertiveness, the way we show up. And the moon is the way we deal with our emotions. And sometimes the two of them can oppose each other. And another way of our let's go back to criticizing and judging others. So sometimes when we criticize and judge others, sometimes we don't even realize that that person might be mirroring something within us that shows up in them, and we don't like it, and we don't even recognize or realize that those are some of our same qualities. So at times when we have a thought of judging someone else or criticizing someone else, sometimes we need to dig deep within to see if it's something there that is showing up that is of similarities of personality or characteristics within ourselves. So I say we shouldn't be judging others, and that's why in a lot of the religions it says the only person that can judge is the higher power, right? The higher force, the higher life force. Because none of us are perfect. We all have our imperfections and our flaws. Another way that the ego shows up in a negative way is acting manipulative. When I say acting manipulative, I mean there's times that we want things done and we know how to get them done, don't we? We know how to get them done. We know how to manipulate someone else, someone that we love or care about, into doing something that probably goes against their will and goes against their better judgment. But because of their love for us, they have a lack thereof judgment, and they kind of go with what we say or how we say it, and they go with it because that's their way of showing us love. But from our standpoint, that's not really loving to manipulate someone that you claim to care. So, and that's just only one of the ways of manipulating, because some people manipulate in a financial way, some people manipulate emotions, some people manipulate someone's how can I say, their heart. So someone may be a humanitarian and some people know that about them, so they manipulate them into giving or donating things to them because they know they're giving beings. So those are some of the ways of manipulation and how they show up. Another way of a negative reaction of the ego is being inflexible. What I mean by being inflexible, compromise. A lot of us are in relationships, whether they're intimate, family, friend, parent, child relationships, where we're inflexible and we're not willing to compromise. This life that we walk and live in a day-to-day as spiritual beings, it's not just for you and it's not just for me. There's so many beings living and walking the earth, And we need to be a little bit more flexible with our emotions and how we react and how we do things. And a lot of us are not. A lot of us are stuck in our ways, and we're not willing to bend. We're not willing to bend for the peace or just of someone else's comfort. We're stuck, and we're not willing to change anything about ourselves because we're very selfish. A lot of us are, and that's what being uncompromising is. It's a selfish act. So if you're someone that's fighting your ego, this is one way. Compromise, as long as it's suitable for you and the other person, not just for them and not just for you. You need to compromise so that you both can get out of whatever the situation is that you need or want. I'm trying to think of an example that I could share with you. Okay, so let's say that you're co-parenting with your ex or your child's other parent. Let's say mom and dad dynamic, dad and mom dynamic, and you're co-parenting now because you guys are no longer together. And every year there's a birthday, different holidays. Compromising would look like, as a co-parent relationship, you and the other person should be able to balance whether you're both going to spend time with the child on the birthday together. And if you don't have that type of a relationship and it's not healthy, you should be able to do every other year. So you should be able to have your child for 1 year, and the opposite parent should have the child for the next year, or vice versa. That would be a compromise situation. What else would it be a compromise situation? If you're co-parenting and you have the children every other weekend and the other person has their children every other weekend, you should be able to drop the children off and the other parent should be able to pick them up. I'm thinking about another one, another dynamic without parent-child. Let's think. Relationship. Okay, so if you're in a relationship, you want to be romantic or romanticized, right? You should be able to pick a date spot, one date, or take your spouse out on a date. As a woman, you should be able to take your spouse out as well as he take you out, or vice versa. It should never be where the burden is all on one person. Where I know a lot of relationships where women feel like, oh, he's supposed to take me out. That's the way it was. We are in a new day and age, and some of those old-fashioned ways just don't work anymore. They were very selfish and they were very one-sided. So that's another way of compromise. Okay, another side effect of the ego is severe mood swings. And I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys and share that I do suffer with mood swings. I suffer with mood swings because of imbalanced emotions. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes when you suppress emotions, or when you don't express yourself in the fashion or form that you should, you tend to boil over once you have had enough. And now that turns into a severe mood swing. Now you went from calm, cool, and collected, and now you're like a raging, angry, fearing spiritual being, where they're just like, what in the world happened from that minute to this minute? So we need to learn how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way so that we don't have mood swings. And if we do have mood swings, we need to learn how to process them in a healthy way to where we're not affecting the people, the loved ones around us, the friends around us, maybe even strangers are dealing with these mood swings. So that is one form of fashion of a mood swing. Another negative outcome of ego is possessing a constant need for praise and approval. Possessing a constant need for praise and approval. So this shows as someone that constantly needs to be validated. If they're not validated, they can go into temper tantrum. They can go into shutting down because they feel like, they're not being shown the attention that they need or want. This can show up as, just a conceited person that, they want somebody to every minute be on them, up in their face, telling them how great they are at everything, yearning and seeking attention from whomever, whatever crowd or group they're in. They always have to be the center of attention, and if they're not, they're going to make themselves the center of attention, whether it's in a negative attention or positive, no matter what. So that is a example. The next one is need to feel superior to everyone around. So that kind of goes one and two in the same as the praise and approval, but needing to feel superior, that means you have to feel more important than everyone. You have to feel like you're greater than everyone. You're doing better than everyone. You are better than everyone. You have more power than everyone. You're on a different level than everyone. So always feeling like somebody's beneath you, or everyone is beneath you, or the situation is beneath you, or the event or the area or the place is beneath you. Yes, that is a negative aspect of the ego. Another negative aspect is never taking responsibility. These people show up as, always playing the victim, always helpless, or I did this because of this, always having excuses for their negative behavior or the way they handle or hold themselves or carry themselves. It's never their fault. It's always the situation, the person, the place, the thing. Anything is everyone's fault or everything's fault except for them. They never take responsibility for their actions. Another negative side effect of ego in a negative light would be hate. Someone that hates and someone that is very resentful and acts off of resentment. So that shows up as somebody that's very negative all the time, somebody that holds grudges against, people who have done wrongdoings to them and things of that nature. How do we overcome that? We're going to get to finding that out today by reading these cards. I have a new deck today. I just want to share with you guys. Gateway of Light of Activation Oracle from Kyle Gray. So we're going to try this new deck today in this reading. So we're going to be asking the Oracle, what are some ways that we could overcome these negative effects that ego can have within our life? So remember, we're asking them, how can we overcome criticizing and judging others, acting manipulative, being inflexible, being rigid, severe mood swings, possessing a constant need for praise and approval, the need to feel superior over everyone, someone who never takes responsibilities, and somebody who acts and dwells and drives through hate and resentment. And that could also show up as jealousy as well. I just want to let you know that. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's ask this deck. All right, Divine, how can we overcome the bad habit of criticizing others? How can we overcome the bad habit of criticizing others? How can we overcome the bad habit of criticizing and judging others? Okay. So this one came up. So seeing this card, it says you have to be in a good place with yourself. It says your sacred inner space has to be cleared and cleansed. You need to be okay with yourself. You need to be accepting of yourself, those attributes of yourself, those that people see and those that people don't see. Because what we all need to understand, we all have an inner knowing, we all have inner feelings, we all have inner thoughts that nobody can see except for us and spirit, right? So here the card says that is an imbalance. If you are someone who lacks empathy for others and for their situations, and you're always critiquing, criticizing, and judging others, that is an imbalance of your sacral chakra, which is your tenderness, your sensuality, your sense of self, your sense of confidence, your sense of worth. So with criticizing and judging others, you need to do the work on yourself before you do that. Because if you did do the work on yourself, you would have a more empathetic outlook on life, and you wouldn't always be judging and criticizing others for who they are or who they're not. You know what I mean? Because we're all created in our own individual light. We cannot shine exactly like the other. And that's what we need to, if we change the negative into a positive, we would learn that criticizing and judging, shift it into a positive. That would be you accepting people, flaws and all. And when I said that, I heard the Beyonce song, Flaws and All. Yes, it's time to accept those who are not like you, who do not show up as you, who do not think like you. Accept them for their flaws, accept them for their beautiful qualities, and for the quality that may not be so beautiful. But who's to say that they're not beautiful? You, because you're the ultimate judger? No. So we need to work on ourselves and focus on ourselves. And if somebody is not vibrating in the same frequency as you, then maybe that person is not for you or like you or somebody that you want to have around, and that is fine too. But that does not say that it gives you a right to judge them. So you heard it here. Worry about your sacred inner space. Work on your sacred inner space instead of judging others. That's how you would counteract the negative ego. Okay. Divine, how can we work on acting and showing up in a manipulative form or fashion when it comes to our relationships with friends, families, lovers, husbands, children, whomever? How can we interact showing up or acting in a manipulative way? Okay, so the Chamber of the Violet Flame came up. So for me, when I got this card, I automatically thought karma before I read it. So it's like you being in a fire, right? You would want someone to save you. You wouldn't want someone to burn you there because it benefits them. Or how could I put it? It says Chamber of the Violet Flame. It's a karmic release. So showing up and acting in a manipulative way, you're bound to have that karma reverse back into you, into your life, into your frequency, into your aura, into your vibration, into your space. We always have to think about the negative ways and things that we do. It can show up and counteract. So when we're sitting back trying to get what we want, we need to really be careful of how we're going about it. You could get what you want by being honest. If there's something that you want or need, or some type of support, you can always go to the person and ask. It's up to them to say yes or no. So we have to make sure that we're not releasing energy that we wouldn't want placed and put upon us. We have to make sure that we're not releasing energy that we do not want to receive back. So being manipulative, that's an act of pulling the wool over somebody's eyes. You're acting like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So we need to resurface and come correct. Become a person that comes from a more pure intention intentional place. Okay, divine. How can we change being inflexible? Being inflexible. How can we be more compromising? What are something that you say we can work on to become more compromising? Wow. Wow. So this one says half their light codes. So for me, it says it in itself. We need to shine, show up in a bright white light as divine shows up for us. It's time to move through this world, through earth, through space, through time, in a more light-filled place. Being compromising is nothing but love, unconditional love. So we need to have the light emerge from our system. Full system upgrade, power recall. So this is us. This is a way you will be giving love out to receive it back in. So being compromising is a love. It's a love action. It's a love action. Because you're compromising because you know this is something that somebody else wants or needs, and you're willing to give it to them because you care about that person so much. So you need to show up as the divine. You need to show up in a light-filled way, in a loving way. That's how you can avoid being inflexible. You can avoid being inflexible by being compromising, by being loving, by showing up in a light, loving, peaceful, joyful way. That's how you need to counteract being inflexible. Okay. How can we avoid severe mood swings? How can we avoid severe mood swings when we've allowed our ego to get to a place where now we're having mood swings and reactions in a negative way? How can we avoid that? Ooh. It's time to see more clearly. We can avoid by processing. We can avoid by taking the step back and to look at the situation and see, why are we moody? What are the causes behind the moody actions? What got us here? What actions that we could have taken before we got to this place to not be in this place? So remember, I said to you, mood swings are caused by sometimes boiled over, suppressed emotions. So before we boil over, before we have that mood swing reaction, we can work on our third eye. That's what it says, third eye activation. We can work on our third eye, and by doing that, we can meditate. We can meditate on, why are we feeling this way? Why did we get to this place? Why are we so angry? Why are we so mad? It's time to take a step back, close your eyes, and meditate and process, so you can have a clearer vision of why you're here. Why did you get to this boiling reaction, this upset tone that you're in now? You see this beautiful view? It's a beautiful thing when you take responsibility for your actions. And I'm going to tell you right now, if nobody ever told you before, when you allow yourself to get frustrated with somebody else for something, at times you can say it is the other person, but you're the ruler of your mind, body, and soul. So that is your fault why you're upset, because you allowed somebody else's energy to overtake yours. So like I said again, clear seeing is the way to avoid severe mood swings. Clear seeing, a clear knowing, and a listening to your inner feelings and inner knowing to get a better understanding of yourself. That is how you overcome the ego aspect of mood swings. Divine, how can you overcome possessing a constant need for praise, approval, and feeling severely superior over others? How can you... Oh. Stellar gateway activation. You have to be okay within yourself. You have to no longer need others' validation. You see this view right here? I see the mountains. I see the clear skies, and to me it's bringing nothing but joy and peace and a sense of knowing and a sense of worth to actually have this view set before you. So for me, you need to, it's a gateway to validating yourself. It's a gateway to activating your own validation. It's a gateway to appreciating your own worth and not needing someone else to appreciate it. It's a gateway to joy, love, peace, happiness, abundance. It's time to manifest your own energy, aura, vibration, frequency, and stop counting on others to uplift and to praise you. You need to praise yourself. That's what this card is telling me. It's time to find happiness, find your own light here. You see this light? It's time to find your own place, your own space and time. It's time to stop looking for other people to tell you that you're worthy, to tell you that you're beautiful, to tell you that you're talented, to tell you that you're powerful. Yes, it is great and awesome to receive compliments from others, but at times we're not going to receive those. So what are we going to do? We're going to negatively act in a negative, nasty, and childish like way, having temper tantrums and looking for attention. You know, that's what children do. Children, when they're not getting the attention that they seek, they'll go by all means necessary to get that attention. As an adult, we need to show up in a better way. Now, I don't want to take away from the fact that sometimes we are in relationships where we don't compliment. I have a hard time at times complimenting. And it's not even complimenting, friends. Sometimes it's hard complimenting my spouse. I very easily compliment my children. I very easily compliment strangers, but I'm working on finding out what are the reasons why I have difficulties complimenting my spouse. So we need to work on ourselves, get a better understanding, a better relationship with self, and then figuring out, who's supposed to be around us and who's not. Because if you do have friends that you're doing a good job and they never tell you, they're proud of you or how good you're doing, or, just uplift you in a positive way, once again, maybe those people are not supposed to be in your circle or your tribe. But we are not supposed to be looking for the validation, and if we don't get it, we're reacting with ego. Okay. Define, what are some ways that you would say to us, how is it that we can take more responsibility and stop, blaming everything and everyone around us? Never taking responsibilities for our actions or for our outcomes and circumstances. Woo. Look at that. Being more grounded. It's time to ground yourself. Ground yourself. Ground yourself. Earth Star activation. It's time for anchoring, grounded action, and Isis energy. So to take responsibility, You have to be grounded within yourself. You have to have that pure intention with yourself to know who you want to show up as, who you want to be, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you know. And you have to really be at peace with self. Once again, the whole reading is basically, you have to get to know yourself. You have to take responsibility for your actions. You have to stop looking outward and, putting your views and your beliefs and your biases upon other people. And it's time to work on yourself, because if you were at peace with yourself, you wouldn't have that time to be capable of judging another man for the walk of life that he's in or she's in. So it's time to get anchored, grounded, a better understanding with self, and know who you are, know who you want to be, know what vibration you want to show up as, what frequency you want to be on, and have that positive aura surrounding you. Yes, Divine, come through with these messages. Divine, how is it that we can show up in a more loving way, not filled with hate, jealousy, resentment, and being resentful? What is a message that you can share with us? Heart of Source. Heart of Source. It says it's time for unconditional acceptance, serenity, and all-encompassing love. It's time to let your heart open up, shine, accept, and give out unconditional love. Hate and resentment is not of love. It's not of love. It's of disgrace. It's of disgust. It's of lower vibrating frequency. It's of something that's less than. If you want to show up in the best version of yourself, you need to show up in unconditional love, non-judgment ways, non-criticizing ways, non-inflexible ways, non-rigid ways, non-severe mood swing ways. This whole reading was just about teaching you that you need to work on you before you try to tell somebody else what they need to work on. Look at somebody else and say what they need to work on. Think about what they need to work on. When you turn your vision, views, comments, communication, and say what somebody else needs to do, you always need to turn that mirror around on you and say, what is it that I need to work on? Because if I'm sitting here saying what another person needs to do, what is it that I need to do? Because I can't sit there unless somebody asks you. You shouldn't be commenting on what somebody else is doing. So let's work on our sacred inner space, our radical transformation, our light immersion, our clearer vision, our infinite potential of the gateway of activation, our Isis energy, our light energy, our grounding energy, our pure intent energy, and let's work on that unconditional love. I hope you guys are having a beautiful Thursday and enjoying your sunny, hot heat wave. Be safe, stay cool, love you, peace, and I hope this message resonated with us. Let's work on our ego, y'all.